Angelo?
Hey, stop it, Eli, it's me. Help, Brandon turned me into a blue jay.
Why would Brandon turn you into a blue jay?
Because he's the master of all evil. I don't know, or maybe he hates Toronto or something. I don't know, just turn me back, please.
But how?
If I knew, I wouldn't be tweeting.
Well, that's a good idea. I should tweet this. While we try to transform Angelo back into a real boy, get it? The real deal starts now.
Help me.
Welcome back to this spooky edition of The Real Deal, Ball State's premier entertainment news show. I'm eerie Ell Brunsman.
And I'm a real boy, agonizing Angelo Oriema.
So, Angelo, what was your life like as a blue jay?
Ooh, it was horrible. I almost got eaten by a cat and pulled over for jaywalking, but I did get the chance to poop all over Kyle's car. That was an hour into being human again, though.
Why did you poop on Kyle's car as a human?
Well, because there are some habits that are just too hard to break.
Okay, well, while I teach Angelo proper revenge etiquette, we have Clark Kent with this week's Hollywood headlines. Clark Kent?
Let's start Hollywood headlines this week by knocking out our superhero news first. DC let out some big movie announcements this past week. First, Deathstroke will be receiving his own movie starring Joe Manganiello and directed by The Raid's Gareth Evans. I'm interested to see Deathstroke's interpretation on the big screen. Previously, Deathstroke has only appeared on CW's Arrow. It's unexpected that the villain would get his own movie before the hero. So it's time to add Deathstroke to the ever-expanding list of DC movies on the way, including Aquaman, Wonder Woman 2, and Shazam. Speaking of Shazam, DC just announced that Zachary Levi will be starring as our hero. Chuck's geeky spy should be head-to-head against the wrestling and movie star Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, but strangely enough, Shazam won't be up against his nemesis Black Adam in this movie. This news hit last summer when DC executives announced that Johnson, whose name has been attached to the Shazam for years now, will not be appearing in the Shazam movie. Thanks for making your movies even more confusing, DC. Suburbicon has released and has completely bombed. Warner Brothers has officially outdone themselves and released Suburbicon, which has been their worst widely released movie ever by only pulling in $2.8 million. This could spell the end to George Clooney directing, because this would have been his fourth flop out of all 6 movies he's directed. We'll just have to wait and see how much longer studios are willing to keep supplying this award-winning actor try his hand at directing. Danny Glover and Mel Gibson are now officially in the works with Lethal Weapon 5. How well will this pan out is still unclear because both actors are 71 and 61 years old respectively. I'm not too sure audiences will be lining up to see these old men in the 5th installment of this franchise. They really are getting too old for this.
See you later. I'm Margaret Alden.
Clark, watch your profanity, man.
What do you know about profanity, Angelo? You know nothing.
Well, at least I don't poop in a box.
At least I'm potty trained, Mr. Car Pooper.
That was a choice, Eli.
Here to keep the negative energy rolling, here's a little mad ranting hood with this week's rant.
Okay, since this is our Halloween episode and we're taping on Halloween, I've got to get a few things about modern horror movies off my chest. For one, they're predictable, especially mainstream horror movies. The main savior and grace kills the man in the mask or evil being by stabbing them, drowning them, lighting them on fire, all of the above, I don't really know, and just strolls away triumphantly. However, little do they know that the one causing all the terror isn't really dead because they just walked away. Didn't wait for the cops to come, didn't make sure they were really dead. No, they just walked away. And then do you know what happens? The monster, demon, serial killer come right back at the end and kill them. I'm not claiming to be an expert here. I don't even know if I'd survive a horror movie myself, but at least I have common sense. Another thing that drives me insane are that the characters are always the same. It doesn't matter if it's Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer, or Nightmare on Elm Street, or any other slasher film. There are always those dumb characters that go to sleep or run upstairs or call their mom. Let me tell you something. Walking through a dark house yelling over and over for your mom and she doesn't answer is a for sure sign she isn't there. I don't know about your mom, but my mom comes into the house, turns on every single light, and calls out for me. I know when she's home. Also, where are these parents? I feel like in horror movies, I never see them. Why are the parents out on a Friday night and not the kids? It's all backwards. Also, when they realize that the mass killer is in their home, they don't run outside, they don't call the cops, they run upstairs. What exit is upstairs? Maybe a window, but they never go out it. They hide in the bathroom or their room or something like that. Upstairs is a dead end. Don't run up the stairs. Run outside, go to a neighbor's. You live in a neighborhood after all. Get in your car, drive away. At least if you are going to run upstairs, lock the door. It buys you a little time to make it out the window. Also, while you are running for your lives, get your phone out and dial the 3 simple numbers 911. It's not that hard. 2 of the numbers are the same. And while you're at it, turn the ringtone off and the brightness down in case you get trapped by the killer, because that's another aspect that bothers me. These people have this amazing technology, yet they are never smart enough to turn off the ringtone. Who in modern day uses their ringtone anyway? At least put it on vibrate or something. It's all about using your resources. Or you're going to alert the killer right to where you are and then, well, you're dead. However, the only downside to calling the police is that in horror movies, they seem to always die as well. Don't ask me how. They have these things called guns, but somehow the killer outsmarts them and then you're down a police force and, well, the well-being of the town lies in the hands of a ragtag team of teenagers who almost all die because they're the token jock and cheerleader character, the sweetheart nerd, and the main character, and a few other random people thrown in there. I'm sorry, town, but the odds are not in your favor. All my negativity aside, horror movies today just lack originality. It's been overdone. Slasher movies are just the same concept over and over with a few details changed. The concept, however, is the same. This is why I can't stand to watch these types of films. I sit there and roll my eyes at all the dumb decisions these people make. I would much rather see a psychological horror/thriller like The Babadook or The Witch, something with a concept that doesn't make me want to chuck grandmother's basket at my TV and cause me to get a noise complaint from my neighbors. And on that note, I could go on and on, but for both of our safety, I'll stop there. I'm Little Red, now back to our host to see if they've resolved their argument.
At least I can be brought back to life,
I have
Eli.
9 lives. 9.
Well, at least I have a claim to the Iron Throne.
I have a healthy respect for my aunt.
Oh, well, that's fair, actually. But I have both thumbs, so...
Yeah, I think I've got you beat. Thanks, Lil Red.
Whew, well, I'll win the Iron Throne when we get back with Clark Kent 2 and Taco Bell hot sauce by my side.
So much has happened since I last saw you. I lost my hammer, like yesterday, so that's still pretty fresh. And then I went on a journey of self-discovery, where I met you.
It's the most wonderful
I've always loved Christmas, but as a mom, it's a lot of work. And between the wrapping, the shopping, the cooking, the decorating...
Sweetie, we don't drink the tree water.
Because we're people, right?
Oh, God, make it stop.
There's almost no time to actually enjoy it. And only one thing...
Oh, no.
What is it?
...could make it even more stressful.
My mother's coming for Christmas.
I think he's kind of hilarious.
Oh, my God.
I like bones. It interests me. What's inside?
I see things in you that I don't like about myself. I want you to have friends in ways that I never could.
I'm just like anybody else.
Welcome back, Real Dealies. We've got some tricks and treats coming up, including Ryan Gosling.
Oh, Jesus, Eli. Oh, don't do that. Jeepers creepers. You should have warned me or something.
About what?
How many times do I have to tell you that when I was at the ripe young age of 8, I was cursed by a witch doctor? He forced me to watch The Notebook over and over again until now every time I hear Gosling is mentioned, I scream.
This is the first time you've mentioned it, actually. But what about Rachel? What about Rachel McAdams?
Whew, I'd rather give my firstborn child to a White Walker than talk about her.
Then I'll let Clark Kent Squared do the talking.
Sounds
Clark?
good.
You may know Ryan Gosling from his roles in movies such as The Notebook, La La Land, and The Nice Guys. But besides from being an amazing actor, he also dabbled in music. Gosling is a part of a rock duo called Dead Man's Bones, which consists of him and his friend Zach Shields. Since the spooky spirit of Halloween is still upon us, diving into this creepy yet surprisingly good-sounding self-titled album they released in 2009 should be a no-brainer. The band was created out of both members' mutual appreciation for the horror genre. Gosling and Shields decided to venture into the music world simply as a means of making something they both enjoy. And in 2009, the duo released their self-titled album, Dead Man's Bones. Making the project was not as easy as they expected, yet they still wanted to challenge themselves throughout the process. They established some rules, such as both of them must play every instrument on the project, even instruments they have never touched before. Another rule was that they could do no more than 3 takes on each song, meaning if they went over that 3-take rule, then they would completely scrap the song altogether. Dead Man's Bones even collaborated with the Silver Lake Conservatory Children's Choir, which was started by Red Hot Chili Peppers bassist Flea. Despite these limitations they put on themselves, the band created a project that definitely puts off a spooky vibe. In late 2008, the duo released a music video and a free download for their song, In the Room Where You Sleep. And in April 2009, they released another music video for their song, Name in Stone, on MySpace and YouTube. In October of that same year, they released their album to the public. What makes this band so unique is that Gosling and Shields made this project purely out of the will to make music that was different. Of course, they wanted the album to be successful, but they didn't do it as a way to get more money or to garner more fame. It's pretty inspiring, knowing that a couple of guys just wanted to make music, and they did. Now, if you're looking for some spooky, ominous sounding music to put you into that Halloween spirit, the Dead Man's Bones will definitely put you in that realm. That's all I have for this week's album review. Until next time, I'm Clark Kent Squared.
Thanks, Clark, for that peculiar take on Ryan Gosling.
Oh man, stop it, Eli. Just please don't say it. Don't think it, even when it's not real.
It'll be okay, because Angelo, the in-laws are coming.
That's the scariest thing of all.
While Angelo pulls himself together, here's a Taco Bell sauce packet with a holiday trailer watch. Sauce?
Hello, Real Deal viewers. This week I'm going to do a trailer review of 2 movies. These movies are A Bad Mom's Christmas and Daddy's Home 2. Both of these movies are sequels to previous movies, so the question is, will the sequels live up to their funniness of their predecessors? A Bad Mom's Christmas follows the same moms as before, Amy, Carla, and Kiki. The plot is that all the moms are trying to put on a wonderful Christmas for their kids and all the complications that go along with that. Also, they have to deal with their own mothers coming to their houses for Christmas and all the zaniness that goes along with that. The part of the trailer that demonstrates this type of funniness is the most prevalent when Amy's mother tells her that she is using her house for a huge Christmas party with over 100 people without even asking her first. Then the trailer shows this immaculate Christmas decorated lawn that is so over the top, it's hilarious. Then later on in the trailer, it gets destroyed because of a fight. People are throwing the decorations everywhere, it's a mess, but it is very funny. Another great part of the trailer is that it really harkens back to the first Bad Moms movie, is when they are all in a bar drinking and there are a bunch of sexy Santas dancing on the bar and the moms catcall them. It's a pretty funny scene and it's quintessential Bad Moms. The movie is also very exciting because Susan Sarandon plays one of the moms and she's great, so that makes the movie that much better. I would definitely go see this movie and you should too. Much like A Bad Mom's Christmas, Daddy's Home 2 deals with family during the holidays. In fact, it has almost the exact same premise when Brad's and Dusty's dads come home for Christmas. This movie follows the events of the first, with Brad, the stepfather, and Dusty, the biological father, learning to co-parent peacefully. Basically, their own fathers joining the fray shakes things up for their dynamic. The best aspect of this trailer is the juxtaposition of the 2 dads. Dusty and Brad are both at the airport picking up their fathers. Dusty's father is effortlessly cool with his leather jacket and the way the strangers oogle him at him while he's going down the escalator. And once he gets to Dusty and Brad, he gives Brad his bags, assuming he's the driver. And like the nerd he is, and with how intimidated he is, Brad almost does it. When Brad's father comes down, it is a totally different story. He's very nerdy looking with his sweater vest outfit and the way he runs up to Brad. Brad holds a sign that says Daddy, and when his dad gets to him, they hug and kiss on the lips. It's a very different relationship than Dusty and his father, and it is extremely funny. It seems like the scene is a good indicator of the whole movie, which is good because it lets the audience know what they're in for a funny movie. I would go see this movie because it seems funny and contemporary with a blended family trying to make it work in a positive way.
Thanks, Shelby. How are you holding up, Angelo?
Better, I guess. I just learned that there are stranger things afoot.
Like?
Well, you see, Eli, I learned that the cars from Pixar's Cars Give Birth, or I learned how they do that. And like Stranger Things, it involves a young girl with kinetic powers and a young boy with a bowl cut who pukes up slugs. Oh, and there's Eggo waffles involved.
We'll be right back.
The blood under the fingernails of our victim, it's John Kramer, the jigsaw killer.
That's impossible.
Ducking down for? I'm trying to be incognito. They got you down for check fraud, criminal trespass, attempted murder. Me, bam! Hi, officer!
Thanks to a system of satellites, natural disasters have become a thing of the past. We can control our weather.
Welcome back, viewers. We hope you had a nice break.
Isn't that the bird you turned into?
Don't ask questions, Eli. What's my business is none of your business, like the dead body in the trunk of Kyle's car.
Did he or you put it there?
Here's Uncle Sam with the Stranger Things review. Uncle?
Hey guys, I'm Uncle Sam, and today I'm giving you a review of Stranger Things Season 2, or what Netflix is calling it, Stranger Things 2. The first season of Stranger Things caught me by total surprise. I remember being partially interested when it was first announced, but I didn't know what to expect. But when the first season debuted on Netflix during the summer of 2016, I was completely blown away, and so were many others. So expectations were pretty high for this season. I will be treading away from spoilers, so if you haven't finished Season 2 yet, don't worry, I won't be delving into any significant plot details. I'll just leave you with this. It picks up about a year after the first season, and if you remember anything about the end of the first season, you know that after being rescued from the Upside Down, Will isn't back to his old self. So, did Stranger Things 2 live up to the hype? Absolutely. Some breakout TV shows have trouble living up to a spectacular first season with their second season, but Stranger Things 2 beat the sophomore slump and delivered a second season that was equally as fantastic as the first. I would even go as far to say that it improved upon some of the aspects of the first season. All the actors did a great job returning to their roles, but one performer that really stuck out to me was Noah Schnapp as Will. Despite having a major part in the first season, Schnapp didn't get much screen time, but that changes here. The amount of emotional weight given to the character of Will is hard enough even for an adult to pull off, but at only 13, Schnapp delivers in a performance that should earn him an Emmy nomination next year. One of the few nitpicks I had with Season 1 was that I found Winona Ryder's performance as Joyce a bit overdone. While she was still good, she could have toned it down quite a bit. Here, she shows a huge improvement and is much more grounded. Sean Astin and Will Reiser were also welcome new additions to the cast, and I was really quite fond of the characters they played. Once again, I found myself totally engrossed with each episode, and I was so excited to see what was going to happen next. They upped the stakes and the danger in this season, and while sometimes that's when a follow-up could stumble, here is where it excels. It manages to have that same tone and sense of 80s nostalgia that made the first season so great. There's also an arc involving Steve and Dustin that I absolutely loved. I'm having a hard time finding any nitpicks I have with this season. If there was one, I did find that one episode in particular wasn't on par with the rest of the season, and while it was still good, I didn't love it as much as all the other episodes. That being said, Stranger Things 2 is some of the best television I've seen all year. I had such a great time watching these characters again, and I can't wait for Season 3 to come out. While I still don't know whether I like this season or the first season better, there is no dip in quality between the two. I'm giving Stranger Things 2 a perfect 5 out of 5 stars. I'm Uncle Sam, and that was my review of Stranger Things 2.
Thank you, Uncle Sam.
As you may have noticed, this episode was a complete dumpster fire.
Here to talk about another monstrosity brought to the screen is the professional wrestler Kevin Owens. Take it away, Kevin.
Ladies and gentlemen, the real deal is now officially the Kevin Owens Show. Troll 2 is legitimately the worst movie of all time, in all the best ways possible. I know what you're gonna say. Come on, Kevin, The Room is the worst movie of all time. And while that may be true, Troll 2 is the best worst movie of all time. Now, what does that mean? It means that all of the movies we consider to be the worst of all time, Troll 2 is the best one to watch. This movie is downright hilarious. Every scene is so cringeworthy that it makes it funny. The acting is dreadful, but in a pleasant way. You can tell how hard these actors were trying to be serious, but completely missed the mark. The most recognizable dialogue and scene from the movie, they're eating her, and then they're gonna eat me. Oh my God, is a perfect example of this. The actor giving those lines completely gave them wrong, but that's what made the lines so great. Now, I was originally going to blast the special effects to smithereens, but one fact has completely changed my mind. Can you guess the estimated budget for this movie? it was $10. $10. This movie costs one large Baconator combo from Wendy's to make. And for $10, this movie had amazing effects, turning people into plants, full goblin makeup, an entire staff, everything that comes with making a movie, all for $10. That's a miracle. The only aspect of the movie that I thought was bad in a bad way was how the sexual scenes were done. The steamy scene where Credence, the main villain, seduces a teenager in an amount of popcorn will forever be burned into my memory. Even just thinking about that monstrosity of a scene makes my skin crawl. All in all, Troll 2 is an absolute masterpiece. It would take me as long as Tarkovsky to describe all the hilarious moments in this movie, which is a really long time. If you're ever bored with your friends and trying to figure out what to do, Troll 2 is a solution to your boredom. I give this movie a 0 out of 5 stars from a critical standpoint, but a 5 out of 5 stars because of how incredibly fun it is to watch. You need to see this beautiful disaster if you haven't already. That wraps up this edition from the Vault. I'm Kevin Owens, back to the spooktastic hosts.
Thanks, Kevin.
You see, all the writers turned into the writing dead at this point in the script, so I guess it's time for the shameless plug.
This week we have our very own Angelo Ariema.
Wait, what?
Hello everybody, welcome to this week's web exclusive. I'm Angelo Ariema and we're going to be taking a look back at one of the most iconic Halloween films ever made in one Ivan Reitman selection, going by the title of Ghostbusters. Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Sigourney Weaver, Harold Ramis, and Nick Moranis star in a film that's equally as funny as it is spooky. And most of you have probably seen Ghostbusters, or at least heard the name. But I'm here to bring you back to the 1980s.
For my final word, I'm going to talk about Neo Yokio, a Netflix original anime series. It centers around a teenage socialite, or should I say magistocrat, Kaz, who is voiced by none other than our fave social media extraordinaire, Jaden Smith. Let me just get one thing out of the way. Don't go into this expecting a typical anime, because Neo Yokio was created by Vampire Weekend frontman Ezra Koenig, and it comes across as a parody of anime. But even though I went into this expecting it to be different, I was still disappointed. I liked that Kaz plays field hockey instead of a more typical sport, and the use of classical music worked perfectly with the vibe of the show. The writing was funny at times, and I love to see an anime poke fun of upper-class New York. And contrary to many viewers, I actually enjoyed the animation style. But let me just get to the point. Jaden Smith is not a good voice actor, point blank. He reads everything with the same nonchalant voice. Even when Kaz is supposed to be distressed, sad, or even happy, Jaden uses the exact same tone. It distracted me from being entirely submersed into the series, and I don't know how I feel about this casting because even though he clearly didn't suit the role he was chosen, so it seems that he was chosen just for publicity for the show. I like Jaden, but his performance here is super awkward. I do think this show is meme-worthy, entertaining, and relatively funny, but I'm not sure I would recommend it because of Jaden's performance and the lack of a captivating plot. Have a great day, Real Dealies.
So we're sticking with Eli's focus on a Netflix series. I wanted to turn my attention to Stranger Things today, but not like you'd expect. Nathan did a fantastic job reviewing it today, so I don't intend on retreading down that road. But instead, I feel like I need to gush about something that surprised me so much during my time with the new season. Fitting for Halloween, I'm talking about something modern Hollywood seems to believe is the spookiest thing of them all. Strong character development and subliminal redemption arcs. Ooh. You see, what I'm referring to here when I say this is a character that I absolutely despised, openly and outright, the Jean-Ralphio lookalike Steve Harrington. Now, Steve garnered my attention in season 1 by being someone that I desperately wanted to be on the wrong side of a Demogorgon attack. He was fake, he was brash, cocky, and just a bully. You know, he broke Jonathan's camera, he seemed possessive and dominating, just all around an annoying guy, and who's an easy antagonist to point fingers at. And sure, he had a stint near the end of the first season that called for his redemption in some way, shape, or form as he looked to turn it all around, but that didn't make me like him necessarily. I still opened this chapter rooting against him, you know? I was cringing when I saw him and Nancy swooning over each other. But then, as my mind raced throughout the season, and I promise I won't spoil anything here, I promise, I found myself going from, I hate this guy, to, I hate that I kind of like this guy, to, all right, Steven, you're the man, to, all right, Steven is the best, oh my God, I'm fangirling all over the place. The way that the Duffer Brothers managed to make him sympathetic, authentic, and possessing actual depth is so commendable in many, many ways. The guy's a high schooler. I mean, much like all the kids on this show, he's prone to making mistakes. He's not perfect. He's still got times of being immature inappropriate and outwardly off-putting, but the writing points to it covering a deeper sensitivity and vulnerability that I was really surprised to see. You see that he cares. You know, he cares for the kids, for Nancy, for the safety of people around him, and for a typical 80s jock bully archetype. I was actually floored at how the Duffer Brothers and all the writers involved were able to turn the tables and change my mind on a character that I really didn't like. So thank you, Stranger Things. I know half of the world isn't running around circles complimenting you all right now or anything, so I figured I would just add fuel to the fire.
I have to agree, John, though I have to say, I have seen Stranger Things.
Ooh, you mean like this episode?
Exactly. This might be the most terrifying thing The Real Deal has put on the internet so far.
I couldn't agree more, Eli. So, for more tricks and treats from The Real Deal, check out our website, Facebook, and Twitter pages for news and updates on all things entertainment. I'm Jon Snow.
And I'm a cat. We'll see you next week.